Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Macro Talk 2. It's Thursday. Thursday afternoon, August the 28th, which means Sunday at midnight is when we cut off the entries for the micro habitat competition that's been going on all month. So you have until Sunday night, which is cool because that gives you a weekend to find a habitat, photograph it, submit the photographs, and potentially win. So I'm looking forward to seeing the pictures. I haven't looked at any of them yet, so that's Sunday night at midnight it ends. Some of you are going to want to know, well, what are we doing next month? We're already thinking about next month. Well, next month is going to be action. Yep. In a nutshell, little things doing what little things do. A macro shot of bugs in action or anything you want. Doesn't have to be a bug. It can be anything in action. It's got to be a macro shot. 1 to 2, half-life size or bigger. Okay? Fair enough. That's for September. You're the first people to know this. I haven't announced that anywhere. Per Zoom on Saturday from 10 o'clock until noon. If you are one of my Patreon supporters, you got an invitation yesterday. Your invitation is over on Patreon. If you didn't for any reason, if you are not a Patreon supporter, you need to be, or I need you to be. That's a little more accurate. Yes, it's how I keep this thing going is through the generous contributions of my Patreon supporters. If you are not one, you should consider becoming one, and then you can come to the Per Zoom on Saturday. Okay, fantastic. It's going to be an interesting one. I've got some stuff planned. It's in the post that I mailed out to you. Okay, a word about microphones. If you've already read the post that I put up there, you already know what's going on. So I just want to say, if there are issues with plosives, I said that as softly as I could today, it's because I can't find my pop guard for the microphone. I have got the microphone temporarily working again, I think, and it's a lot easier to set up than this one. And I think that we're going to be okay for today, and I've got some things ordered that I think will fix the problem. But if you hear popping today, please don't be alarmed. It's I can't find the thing. Okay, that's it. Next week we are going to be doing some really cool macro stuff. We're going to be talking about coins again, and I'm going to do the first in my 3-part series on coin photography. I'm mainly doing this to upset the coin photographers that I know, because they probably don't want me talking about it. They're above that, but we're going to give it a try. So I'm going to do 3 live streams on coins, and they're all going to be kind of different. They aim at different things. I'll let you know what they are in case you're interested. I've got my notes here. The first one is the foundations of coin photography. We're going to get into the actual nitty-gritty of the subjects you're photographing, the equipment you need, the lighting fundamentals. In Talk 2, we're going to go over technical workflows and the imaging challenges that you get from photographing small, flat, round, shiny things. And it's going to include all kinds of illumination strategies and focus stacking strategies for coins, as well as accurately representing color and surface accuracy of the coin subjects. The last one's going to be the most interesting one. It's advanced and specialized techniques in coin photography, and it's going to have a lot of fun stuff in it and some cool examples. So they're the 3 that I'm going to do. I'll probably do one every other week. But we'll start out with the first one, the most basic one, next week. The other live stream is going to be, it's actually, I'm going to do it because I've been helping one of my students build a checklist for planning landscape photography. She is a landscape photographer, and she needed some help coming up with a way to prepare for the trip so that she got the absolute most out of her trips. And to do that, I put together a guide for her, and within that guide was a checklist, an actual form that she could fill out with all of the information she would need to be super prepared to get the shot when she got to where she was going. And I think it's so good, and well, so interesting, and there's so much in it that would overlap with what we do, that I want to share that with you and talk about it next week. So that's the other live stream, a guide to planning your next shoot. So some really nitty gritty macro stuff, which I felt I had to do because today is another touchy-feely kind of episode. But it's one that I put in here because I wanted something to counterbalance the kind of grimness of Tuesday's discussion. This is a much more upbeat thing. I want to let you know about some of the things that are happening in the world around macro photography that I think are a net positive for our species and our planet or our societies. And hopefully it will inspire you, maybe to do something with these people and these groups, or do something of your own. I think there are many opportunities for us to be helpful, not just to our immediate group, but to the larger macro world and to everybody else, frankly. And when I tell you all of the things that are going on and all of the reasons that they're important, I think you'll start to see, maybe, I hope, that macro photography is more than just a hobby. It's more than just a technical exercise. This is something that I've been banging on about for years now, and I really do believe that it's true. Anybody who's hung around our community for any period of time will know that this is a very unique group of people. It's a very intelligent, very motivated, but also very caring and helpful group of individuals. Nobody here doesn't lend a hand when asked, and it's quite unique. I think these days it's definitely unique. I want to build on that today and tell you some of the reasons that I personally am very proud to be a member of the bigger macro community, and why I do what I do, for what I do it for, which is not a lot. Okay, so I'm going to argue today that macro photography is actually a force for good. It's a positive thing in the world. It's not just something we do in our free time, and it's actually a way of seeing the world that is fairly unique to what we do. Other people look at the world like we do, but often with a slightly different eye. We're looking for beauty in places that most people don't even look. They don't look for anything. They don't even look for their car keys, where we are photographing things of great beauty. Take Alison Pollock, for example. She's out there in the woods, in the rain, turning over logs and creating breathtakingly stunning photographs, one of which I'm looking at right now because I have it hung behind my computer screen. And that is a way of looking at the world that is in many ways quite unique to the macro photographer. We see beauty in seeds, in parts of flowers, in insects, in parts of insects. And we see these things so intensely because we photograph them so carefully that you can't help build a bigger view of the world you live in. And I think that has to reflect on how we look at our world, how we interact with people in our world, because I think we have a secret that we share. And it's one of those secrets that it's more powerful the more people we can share it with, and that's kind of at the heart of what I'm going to talk about. So what I'm going to do is split up the benefits that I see into personal benefits, the things that directly benefit us as individuals, and then the impact we can have on the community around us, and the environmental impact that we can have on the whole planet, and the scientific and social contributions that we make to, for example, the literature, and to the magazines and journals and textbooks, that type of thing. So the first thing, I think in order for something like this to be as powerful as it is on a grand scale, it has to be very powerful on an individual scale. And I believe that macro photography is just that. I think that it is a direct route for connecting to yourself, to gaining insights into who you are. Because I think mindfulness is almost an essential component of good macro photography. You have to be able to slow down and pay attention to things that you normally wouldn't. And I think that is very beneficial. We talked a few weeks ago about mental health, about depression and anxiety and other crippling mental disorders, and how what we do can be part of a recovery from an illness like that. I believe it can also be preventative, giving us direction and meaning that might otherwise be hard to find. So it slows us down, it forces us to look carefully at our surroundings, and I think it also gives us the key to looking into the places that nobody else does. You learn how to do that. It is a force for creativity, and it is a rich place in which to learn. The photography itself involves learning all kinds of technical problem solving. This is true for lots of parts of lots of the disciplines within photography. It's true for astrophotography or underwater photography. Very technical. You have to learn a lot of stuff. I would argue that there is more technical problem solving in macro, especially if you get down into the really small stuff and the high magnification equipment. There's more problem solving you have to deal with than just about anywhere else in photography. Yet you're constantly experimenting. You're constantly pushing the barriers, trying to find out if you can do something better than has been done before. And it's not that infrequent that we do. Just look at the work that Bud Parrott is doing. He's a fantastic photographer. He's been a photographer his whole life, and just recently became a microscopist as well, a photomicrographer. And he has been taking pictures that are quite stunning, quite remarkable, really pushing the boundary of what can be imaged without million-dollar facilities to support you. So that creativity, that learning, that passion is something that I think we have in spades here, and I think it's very good for us as individuals. We talked about a year ago, may have been more than that, about injury and illness and macro photography, and how it can both interfere with and supplement what we're doing with our macro photography. We gain resilience when we have something outdoors that we're passionate about, that we want to do. It helps us to keep active, and we have to be careful. We have to be mindful of our limitations, and that's where you'll see photographers developing new skills and new techniques that allow them to work within a physical limitation. An example here is Angie Wallace. I'm sure she won't mind me bringing her name up in this setting, but Angie has a couple of physical ailments that prevent her from doing what she really wants to do. But she gets over that and finds ways to get out into nature and do what she loves to do, and that kind of resilience and determination cannot be a bad thing. And others, there are many among us who suffer from awful knees or other joints. There are ways that we can do our photography outdoors where we don't have to roll around on the ground trying to get up. There really are. We just have to be thoughtful and plan. And the same goes for aging as for illness and injury. I mean, there are a lot of macro photographers who are getting on in years, but who you couldn't tell it from talking to them because they are so focused on what they're doing. There are plenty of verifiable examples of what I'm talking about where health and aging are tied to a hobby like this. And there have been loads of studies on flow. Flow is a state of focus on a task. I get in this state very easily when I'm outdoors with a camera, where I forget what time it is and where I am, and I just focus on what I'm doing. But there have been studies on this in the U.S. Veterans Program is probably one of the most marked, where they have actually studied veterans dealing with significant physical and mental health issues who, as part of their recovery, were taking formal photography classes and getting out in the woods and doing photography, and the results were pretty remarkable. I will try to find the reference to the paper that I read about that, and I'll put it in the show notes. A 2020 study in Frontiers in Psychology that somebody showed to me demonstrated that nature photography activities significantly improved well-being and results from treatment for stress in older patients. Yeah, we knew that. We've talked about it. It's a fact, and it's nice to have studies that are actually holding that up. There are organizations like Photo Voice in the UK that use photography projects to help people express difficult experiences. This is in the therapeutic setting where people may have suffered trauma, for example, and use photography to express the resulting feelings from that type of trauma. Veterans programs that I mentioned, the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs, where I used to work, by the way, it's where I trained as a surgeon. So I've worked for many years with veterans, and they have long supported photography as a creative outlet, especially in the treatment of PTSD. And the idea of slowing down and seeing stuff, which is one of the things that you have to do in macro if you're going to be successful, has been especially therapeutic. So what about building community and connections? We have a shared passion, and most of us, or many of us, are truly passionate about what we do with our photography. So having clubs and forums and Discord groups and live streams like we do here, and meetups on Zoom like we do multiple times a week, these are all important parts of building the community. Our community has built itself. I haven't done anything to build it. It's arrived and it's thrived. The things that we do are just places for you guys to gather and get to know one another. There is a tremendous amount of intergenerational interaction in the photography community in general, but particularly in macro. I have lots of students who are a couple of generations behind me in age, and we communicate as peers, and it's wonderful to have that opportunity if you're a young photographer to learn from somebody more experienced. Like I have learned from my elders in photography ever since I've been doing it, and to this day I still do. I have lots of friends who are far more experienced than I am, and they're a rich source of community and support. Competitions and challenges. For us, it's formal competitions. I started doing this 4 or 5 years ago, I can't remember, doing the competitions, not thinking it would catch on, but it's one of the more important things we do here, and it really does build community. I mean, everybody knows who's submitting pictures, and by a couple of days after the competition, everybody knows what was submitted and what won. So it's a wonderful way to encourage creativity, to give constructive feedback, unless Rick is the guest judge. No, I mean, especially if Rick is the guest judge. It's a wonderful way to build a community. Some of the examples I would give of that would be some of the things that have happened in the UK. The UK is particularly good at this kind of thing. They have an initiative called Insect Week in the whole country. You don't dress up like an insect or anything, but they have online contests and a lot of other activities that raise awareness about biodiversity and insect extinction and that type of thing. So a very strongly community-oriented opportunity to share ideas about insect photography. We've done our little bit on that. We've had a picnic, just the one so far, but tremendously successful way to strengthen and build the community. It's the Royal Entomologic Society. That's what I was trying to think of. That runs the Insect Week in the UK. There are a bunch of macro photographers, and they have such a good program over there. That they engage thousands and thousands of people in these competitions. In the US, there is a thing called Bugshot. I know several people who have attended Bugshot gatherings. This is where amateurs and pros and scientists and all comers get together for a week of immersive macro photography in a great location. Usually somewhere super nice. I believe that one of my friends just got back from a desert southwest bugshot excursion, which he said was extremely good. These things have a tendency to create lifelong friendships among the attendees that go on for years and years. It's a really good idea to be involved in some of these workshops. And, of course, there are elements in the competitions that we do that I think are particularly helpful to building community. The guest judges idea is one of those. It helps us to really get to know other people besides the people in our in-group. You've even got to meet artist friends of mine and my children and other folks that otherwise you wouldn't have met. So I like that. It's a community builder. Another way that community is built is through more formal teaching. I'll mention Alison's name again. She teaches as well as wins competitions left, right, and centre. But she also teaches formal workshops, and that is definitely a powerful way to build community. So what about environmental awareness and stewardship? Obviously, that is something that we could and should and almost automatically are involved in, but there are opportunities for us to be more involved in it. I think there's enough going on in our world, and there is enough of an existential risk to our environment that we really should be paying attention to ways that we can help people see what we can see, which is really what this comes down to. Macro helps people to see insects as well as lichen, seeds, plants that are too small to see, pond scum that's incredible under a microscope. All of these things we take for granted largely, but the world largely doesn't know about them. That I see as part of our role as stewards. We have the gift or the curse of fascination with these unseen areas of the world, and we spend a lot of time looking at them and photographing them. We should spend some of that time showing them to other people and getting them interested in the world that they don't routinely see. It's too easy to forget about it if you're too busy, if you're too distracted. Doing so, being a good steward kind of fosters empathy and curiosity. It's hard to ignore what has been seen once you've been exposed to it. It's hard not to think about the things that are lurking just out of sight, and that does get people excited and maybe even get them into our hobby eventually. There are loads of opportunities for us to be citizen scientists, if you will. A citizen scientist is somebody who is not actually a trained scientist, but provides valuable assistance to trained scientists. And there are so many programs, I don't even know where to start, but macro photographers have basically built iNaturalist, which is a UK based identification platform that is really quite remarkable, as well as our own bug guide. I don't know if you're familiar with bug guide. I'm going to talk more about that in a second. But these things are driven by macro photographers because they're based on excellent photography for IDing species, so they have to be good photographs, and they are. We can have an impact on conservation just by documenting species that may be rare and showing them to people and letting them know what they are, where they are, and what they look like, so you don't stomp on them. There are many, many macro photographers throughout this country who have been involved in pollinator surveys, who use their photography to keep track of what bees are where and what they're doing and what plants they're on, and feed this information to the scientists so that they can be aware of what's happening with these wild swings in pollinator activity. Another one that just wouldn't really be possible without macro photographers is the surveys that are keeping track of all the microplastics that are starting to contaminate beaches and waterways around the world. Many, many hundreds of macro photographers have been involved in these programs to look at and document where plastics are showing up and what type they are, and guiding corrective measures. So I mentioned iNaturalist. Literally millions of macro images have been uploaded by macro photographers, and they've been used by researchers, and over the years they've been doing it, they have documented thousands of species and their ranges, and in many cases extensions of ranges, and they found new species just based on the work done by macro photographers. That's very exciting. I mentioned Bug Guide, bugguide.net, which is based out of Iowa State, which I think, I'm not 100% sure, but I think it's one of the states next to me. I'll have to look at a map and see, but it's close to here. Bug Guide is based there, and they're also driven by macro photographers. They've been cited, Bug Guide has, in more than 400 scientific papers as a source of the ID data that's cited in the papers. That's pretty amazing for a voluntary program at a small university. Well, I guess it's not that small a university. I mentioned pollinator monitoring in the UK. Citizen photographers basically set up this pollinator monitoring scheme, POMS, by submitting macro photographs that covered the whole country to show exactly where the bees were being tracked. An amazing project. And the microplastics I mentioned, they are absolutely vital in raising awareness to this problem that is going to, if we survive long enough, is going to become a real threat in years to come. And keeping track of this and monitoring what's out there and how bad it is something that can only be done by volunteers. There aren't enough scientists to keep up with it. So what about the scientific and educational contributions that I hinted at? This is where one of the things that we do is we kind of bridge art and science, and you'll see there are as many different kinds of macro photographers when it comes to where they fall on this art science continuum. There are a lot of photographers who simply are interested in the beauty of what they're photographing, and there are others who are simply interested in the function and the form of what they're photographing, who are trying to find new information about what they're photographing. So having a lot of people that can contribute images that kind of live in both realms, that are both educational and illustrative, as well as artistic and aesthetic to the viewer. There are a lot of amateur professional type partnerships that are springing up. I can mention several of them. Indeed, I will in just a moment. But several of my friends work for universities, for example. Others for museums, and they help in all kinds of photographic related activity to support the scientific goals of the institution. New species I mentioned earlier. Macro photographers can often provide the first and often the only record of some new species. There is a hobbyist, now I hope I have this guy's name right. I think it's Pat Bouchard, but I'm not 100% certain of that. I believe he's in Canada, and he documented a very interesting beetle called Pelicophora. Does that sound right? Pelicophora. It's a cigarette beetle. Yeah, I didn't know beetles smoked cigarettes, but it's a cigarette beetle, and his macro photographs were the only ones, and they were seen by some scientists who were doing some taxonomic work on related species, and it ended up with this being an actual discovery. Just from a guy that liked to go out and take pictures in the wild. Macro photographers who are not scientists are having their pictures used in peer-reviewed journals and museum exhibits, textbooks, and National Geographic articles. They're showing up everywhere, and these are by people who have no formal training. Museum collaborations is another interesting one. The Smithsonian, the Natural History Museum in London, my absolute favourite museum in the whole world to go to. They both use macro photographers for imaging their insect collections and creating materials for outreach. My friend Bill Wheeler, who many of you know, worked for quite a bit of time in helping with some bee photography at his local museum, which is a big museum because it's in Seattle. And he worked with them, and it's just another example of a concerned citizen stepping up and helping out. Macro photographs have been used, of course, in biology textbooks to document just about every small thing you can imagine. Compound eyes, pollen, insect anatomy, and it just goes on and on. And I don't know this for a fact, but I would be willing to bet that my friend Rick has at least one photograph in a textbook somewhere. But more important, when you're talking about education, Rick is the spiritual guide figure of photomacrography.net, which is inarguably, certainly, that's a better word, certainly the richest resource for information and guidance that you will find in the world of macro photography and micrography. It is such a dense repository of information that it's the purest kind of education, if you ask me. So it's another example, and another example of how we can give back. I know many of you have posted over on that wonderful site, and many of you have asked me to as well, and one day I might. But that's a long story why I don't. Okay, so inspiration and advocacy. This is more where art comes into the thing. macro, to me, is an aesthetic practice. And basically, we can use the beauty of what we photograph as a tool for activism. I mean, people respond to beautiful pictures. Um, have you ever heard of Joel Sartori? He's a National Geographic guy that came up with a photo arc. Um, it's not strictly macro by itself, but it uses detailed photographs of animals and a lot of insects actually to push awareness of conservation. And it's so important. The, a beautiful photograph is a way into the hearts and souls of a population that might be unimpressed with scientific fact sometimes. So using that as an opportunity to persuade people is a worthy use of art. Getting macro prints in galleries, in books, online platforms, I know a lot of you do that. That brings the visitors and the viewers to those sites into this unseen world that we need to advocate for. If we aren't in the position, if we aren't ready to advocate for the world that supports us, that is at the base of every food chain, that keeps everything on this planet alive, if we aren't the people that can advocate for it, who the hell are? I mean, really. Because we see the best, and I think we need to share it and let other people see it too. We talked about pollinators and keeping track of decline using photography so that we can inform people, and that can also be done as can climate change documentation, and environmental issues can be done still with very tasteful and classy photography that will attract eyes as well as interest. There are some large-scale projects, one of which I can't say anything about because it's my own, that is hopefully going to have the kind of impact that I'm talking about here. That will be, the attractiveness of what we're looking at will get people to pay attention to the message, and that's something that we are fairly uniquely capable of doing. So, fine art exhibits. Take Levon Biss. Please take him. No, Levon has done a whole series of images called micro sculpture, and he's toured major museums all over the world, and he has changed public perception of insects, but just by displaying these enormous hyper-detailed prints. And if you haven't been to one of his displays, you really should. It should be required viewing for macro photographers. He puts a lot of work into them, and they are beautiful. Other public campaigns. Save the Bees was an initiative in Europe some years ago, and they basically used pictures of close-ups of bees and other pollinators to have people, the population, connect with the whole idea of a bee being something to conserve, and people started liking bees, and as a result of that, the initiative was very successful, and it did galvanize public opinion around this idea of saving the bees. What about future potential? And this is the closest I will get to a call to action for you guys. I think that technology, the stuff that I talk about ad nauseum, is going to amplify everything that I'm talking about. It's going to bring us AI editing tools, 3D imaging, and it's going to eventually make gear more affordable, hopefully, and macro more accessible to folks. And that's one of the promising things. Other future potential that I think is going to to help us to advance the power of what we do. AI assisted focus stacking. It has to come along eventually here, that AI is going to get involved in that. I know somebody who's been looking at that, no names of course, but ways to reduce artifacts and automate the process even more is going to further lower the barrier to entry to macro photography. There is a barrier to entry of macro photography. It's mostly cost related, but it's also the perception that this is an extraordinarily difficult and time-consuming hobby. It is, isn't it? Yeah, but hopefully that's changing, and tech is going to help smooth that over and speed the adaptations up. I think that the way that processors have become so inexpensive and much easier to use, things like the Raspberry Pi and Arduino devices, are going to make open source projects, which are already very common, much more common, where people will be able to have fairly sophisticated macro rigs just by copying some code and following the directions on an instructables page. So I think that will also lower the barrier to entry for people who might otherwise not be interested. Museums, augmented reality, AR, VR, all the headset things that whatever happened to them, by the way? Those VR headsets. I thought they were going to be the big thing. But anyway, when they come along, the 3D modeling and other techniques are going to allow people to experience insects in a way they haven't before. That also is going to boost the effectiveness of what we're doing. So if you think about it in those terms, then getting other people interested in macro can act like a force multiplier. It can, we don't have to create spokespeople to reach hundreds or thousands of people. We can just have more macro photographers, and that will get the word organically spread more effectively. Small steps, just through conversation, inspiring other people, teaching a little bit. There are so many ways that we can do it. So, what can you do? What can you do today? I think we all could do a bit, well, maybe not all of us. Most of us could do a better job of sharing our work. The good stuff that we do that ends up in a file on the computer, I think we should find ways to share our work so that we can inspire other people. I mean, at the end of the day, that's going to be what gets other people to find a camera and start taking pictures, is seeing your pictures. I think we can get involved with platforms like Bug Guide or iNaturalist to be of help to that project, help it get even bigger because it's working, and we can do that. Find somebody younger to teach. Somebody who is interested, maybe a family member, maybe I don't know how do you find young people to teach? I don't know. Go out on the street and ask them. Find somebody younger who's interested and tell them what you know. Get people involved from the ground up. It's good for us, and it's good for the people you're teaching. And probably most important of all is care for what you're photographing. Care about the subjects of your photography, which is something that I think is a work in progress for me. I mean, I do care for my subjects, but it's taken a lot of work to where that has become an important feature of my photography. But it's a worthwhile effort. So these are the ways I think macro photography is a force for good, or can be a force for good, and I genuinely believe in all of them. I think all of these things are important, and I hope that you agree. I hope you think they're important too, because if you do agree, that makes you a special person, because you're part of this, and yeah, that's a more positive message than Tuesdays, don't you think? and a microphone that is largely working. So I'm going to call this one a victory for the home team. Let me see who's here and what they're saying. The cat grows. This cat grows says, I love bunnies. Okay, well, there you go. This cat grows. Are you somebody I haven't met? I think you must be. Welcome. Please come back again. And yeah, it's nice to meet you. What a strange name, though. Alistair's here, by the way. Alistair, thank you very much for your bouncing duties. We do appreciate you. And that goes for Bud also, and Amy. I'm sorry, I was reading as I was trying to say that. Where are the squirrels? Asks Joseph. Don't know. I thought today was your day to keep track of the squirrels. I don't know that for a fact. See my world. There's another person that I haven't met before. Greetings. I think I haven't met you. The thing is, with these names that you can make up, I end up knowing most of the people that I think are new, and then missing the ones that are actually new. All right. And let me see. Wow, there's a lot of chit-chat going around. That's wonderful. Anita, welcome. Good to see you here from the Netherlands. Just me from Transylvania. Excellent. And Susan is here. Greetings, Susan. Glad you made it. Roy from Worcestershire. Arthur. Greetings, Art. Don't forget, we have a Pazoom on Saturday. Jack is here. Anyone ever had an XP3 bio for sale or trade? You mean one of my things? That's a very interesting message to see. Jack, I will get in touch with you about that. I think I might be just the guy to help you out. I can't remember if I've got your email, but I know I've communicated with you before, so I probably do. If you want to be absolutely certain of that, I think there's a way you can put your email address in here privately. I don't know that for a fact, but send it to me otherwise. Julie's here, back in Alabama, from gallivanting all over the frozen north. Fantastic. Diane's here from Maryland. Ingolf, all the way from Germany. Greetings, sir. And Graham is here. Greetings, Graham. The sound is great this week, he says. Fantastic. Graham was the guy that pointed out about my desperate need for better sound. So I worked on it with my assistant today, and looks like we're making progress. And did I mention that I have a toothache? I probably didn't, but it is it's starting to draw some of my focus away from what we're doing, because my ibuprofen just wore off. Robert from Ocala, welcome. Good to have you back, sir. I have some things I need to send you. I must not forget that. So let me see. Bud is here. Bud, I was going to show a photograph, but I didn't have your permission. Can I? Can I show a photograph that I sent to you last night? It's the blue channel only. Let me know. If I see a yes in the chat, I will show everybody, because I think it's amazing. And let me see, who else have I not said hi to? A lot of people with a lot of cool things to say. See My World would like a Discord invite. Okay. There's one in the show notes for this video when it's released, which will be minutes after we finish. That has a Discord invite in it. Oh, Alistair says Discord invite is included below every YouTube video Alan has posted. There you go. He's the man. Let me see. Does anybody have any questions for me? Bud says I can show the picture, so let me find it, and then I will share it with you. Bud has been photographing very small, very ancient diatoms. You know what a diatom is? It's a little unicellular creature that lives in the water. They live everywhere. And after they die, their innards rot, and it leaves behind their skeleton, which is made of basically glass. And these diatoms float to the bottom of the sea after they die, and their skeletons are compacted into earth. And the end product is that you can fish these things out of the bottom of the ocean and get the individual skeletons out of the muck and make slides of them and photograph them. It sounds easy, doesn't it? It is not easy. And as soon as I find Bud's picture, I'll show you exactly what I mean. This is a diatom. I may be speaking out of turn here, but I'm not sure if this is one of your ancient ones or not. But this is quite remarkable. Let me see if I can find the right camera. There it is. So this is a diatom. In this whole thing is just glass. There's no living tissue in it anymore. And I wish I still had the photograph. There was a stereo photograph made of this same organism by a fellow named Beats over on photomacrography.net, and it shows the three-dimensional structure of this, which appears to be upside down. Well, I'm not sure what side is up, but it's on the other side of this than Bud's picture. But this is a very tiny piece of glass, and these are funnel type things that are real. They actually, in this case, are tunneling down and out the side of the orb, and yeah, the picture's absolutely fantastic, tremendous, and he's got tons of these things, tons of pictures of these wonderful diatoms. So that's exactly what I was talking about, creating awareness and interest in things that you might never have had any interest in before. It's hard for me to describe how advanced your skills have to be to take a photograph like that. It involves a tremendous amount of work. So hats off to you, Bud. That's really remarkable. And we still have some time. I thought I would fill up all this time. You want me to tell you what we're going to be talking about in that coin, the advanced coin one? I think you'll find it fascinating. Let me see. I wanted to talk about some of the weird stuff that coin photographers are doing. They're using this thing called reflectance transformation imaging, RTI. Ever heard of it? Me neither. Photometric stereo, another thing I've never heard of. High dynamic range, and using that in coin photography is apparently a fairly controversial thing. Ultraviolet, infrared for authentication and forensic examination of coins. Then emphasizing sculptural quality of coins through different lighting techniques, backgrounds and context shots that don't distract from the subject. These are all advanced techniques that coin guys do. Integrating coins into narrative or historic photographic work. So yeah, just a lot of interesting things. Computational techniques, 3D modeling. So that's a very technical one. You know what we're going to talk about earlier, though, is going to be some of the things that make coin photographers so different. Is that a good word? Do you know a coin photographer? If you know a coin photographer, you'll know exactly what I mean. If you're a surgeon and you know a neurosurgeon, you'll also know exactly what I mean, because it's the same thing. Neurosurgeons are the coin photographers of the macro world. Yeah, that's a positive thing. I mean, it might not sound that positive, but it is. I mean, they're special. They know they're special. What they do is difficult. What we do is difficult too, but That's not part of the formula. So I'm going to talk about that at some point. I have to talk about that because it's just entertaining. But in the first video, we're going to talk about all the things that make coin photography. Here's a coin, by the way. I just found one. We're going to talk about all the things that make these hard to photograph and all the things that are important to get right to get good pictures. And some of it will make common sense, be common sense to you. Some of it will be quite surprising if you've never done it before. I've done it before, but not very well. One of the things about macro photography that's different from coin photography is this. As a macro photographer, it is perfectly okay for me to say, hey guys, I've done a little bit of coin photography. I've read a bit about it. I've talked to some coin photographers. I think I know enough to talk to you about it for an hour. And that's what I'm going to do, if that's okay. And you'll say, okay, good. Well, you've prepared for it and you've done a bit of it, so that'll be fun. Tell us what you know. That is acceptable. But if there was a coin photographer in the room, they would absolutely balk at that idea. Well, you can't. It would be like a surgeon saying, you know what? I've dabbled in brain surgery, just done a little here and there, but I've learned enough that I could talk to you about it if you want. Most people would be aghast at that. You shouldn't be dabbling in brain surgery. You really shouldn't. And that's kind of the same approach that the coin photographers have, is we're really not welcome to dabble in that specialty. But I have, and I'm going to talk about it anyway. So there you go. I guess I'm going to lose all my coin photography friends, but I'll apologize later. Okay, the diatom on display is from Oamaru, New Zealand. Some of the most unusual and beautiful diatoms on the planet live there. There you go. Zeno thinks the diatom looks like it has magnetic field lines. I'm sure it actually does, but that's not what you're seeing in the picture. Jack recently sent me a message and I didn't get it, so I will go looking for that. Jack, thank you. Appreciate it. Joseph, I did show the pic. And who am I missing? Oh, Harold. Greetings, Harold. Harold, I hope you saw the new cover art for our crystal art thingamajig on the second Friday of every month. Now with your picture on it. It's very nice. I thought it worked out quite well. Good. That's coming up soon. Let me see. Diatoms are non-magnetic. Right. I'll buy that. More votes for squirrel pictures, so I will have to look them up as well. And what resolution can you test? Diatoms get into the nanometer range. Right. I'm going to let Bud answer that. Yeah, you go. Using ultraviolet light at 406 nanometers via a bandpass filter and pixel shifting, he can get down to something pretty teeny tiny. Is that a good enough answer? Good. All right, I think we are just about out of time, and I am definitely now out of ibuprofen effect, so I am going to go get a tablet of that before this gets any more distracting. And let me see. Jack is popping in on Bud's chat about UV light and photography of diatoms. So that's going to be an interesting conversation that we should have at some point. Oh, Chuck says, greetings, Chuck. He just recently found out about RTI from a YouTube video from Ted Kinsman, who is a professor of photographic sciences at the University of Rochester. The whole macro thing is very new to me. Chuck, welcome. Don't be a stranger. We talk about all kinds of macro-related stuff here. It's not always like today, I promise. we get into the nitty gritty of it too. So and that's what we're going to do next. So until Saturday, if you're a presumer, and Tuesday, if you're not, have a great weekend. Stay out of trouble. And Jack says diatom frustule pores down to 200 nanometers. So now you know. 200 nanometers is 0.2 microns, and we can photograph to that resolution. Yes. Okay, great. See you guys after the weekend. Thank you very much for coming. Hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, please give me a like. I don't know what good it does, but everybody says it, so it must do something.